Welcome aboard! Join me as we dive into the legendary battleships of the World Wars, exploring their history, firepower, and the battles that shaped naval warfare. So let's set sail into the past. The story of Battleship Roma. In the shadow of rising global tensions during the 1930s, the Italian Navy, Regia Marina, sought to assert its dominance in the Mediterranean. With France and Britain modernizing their fleets, Italy needed a powerful statement of naval strength. That statement would come in the form of the Littorio-class battleships, among them, the most modern and arguably the most tragic, Roma. Laid down in 1938 at the Cantieri Riuniti dell'Adriatico shipyard in Trieste, Roma was to be the third ship of the Littorio class, following her older sisters, Littorio and Vittorio Veneto. These ships were Italy's answer to the new generation of fast battleships, boasting not only speed and armor but also cutting-edge firepower. Roma would represent the pinnacle of Italian battleship design. Roma's construction reflected the ambitions of Mussolini's regime, which envisioned a rejuvenated Italian empire dominating the seas. Measuring 237 meters in length, with a beam of 32.9 meters, and displacing over 45,000 tons when fully loaded, she was a true behemoth. Her engines could push her to speeds of over 30 knots, rivaling most cruisers. But what truly set Roma apart was her armament: 9 381mm, 15-inch guns, mounted in 3 triple turrets, supported by a powerful secondary battery and a new array of anti-aircraft weapons. She was launched on June 9, 1940, just one day before Italy formally entered World War II. However, despite her swift launch, her fitting out would take longer than expected. She wouldn't be commissioned into service until June 14, 1942, a full 2 years after launch. By then, the war had changed dramatically. Roma joined the fleet at a time when the Axis powers were beginning to feel pressure. The British Royal Navy had established dominance in parts of the Mediterranean, and the Allied landings in North Africa had begun to squeeze Axis supply lines. Despite her power, Roma would face a very different kind of war than what she was built for. Instead of the decisive fleet battles envisioned by naval planners, Roma's early service was marked by caution and inaction. Italy's fuel supplies were critically low. Battleships like Roma were held in port, used more as a fleet in being, a threat that forced the Allies to commit resources, but rarely engaged in open combat. When she did leave harbor, it was often in response to Allied threats that never materialized into actual clashes. Throughout late 1942 and into 1943, Roma conducted several sorties, some in coordination with her sister ships, but none resulted in major battles. Still, she was a source of national pride. Sleek, modern, and imposing, she was hailed as one of the most beautiful and powerful warships ever built. But beauty would not be enough to change her fate. By the summer of 1943, the situation for Italy was dire. The Allies had landed in Sicily in July. Rome was under threat. The Italian military was overstretched, and civilian morale was crumbling. Then, on July 25, Mussolini was deposed. A new government, under Marshal Pietro Badoglio, began secret negotiations with the Allies. Roma's crew, like most of the Regia Marina, was left in the dark about these talks. They continued drills, training, and patrols under increasing pressure from Allied air attacks and German suspicions. Then came the moment that would seal Roma's destiny. On September 8, 1943, the Italian government publicly announced an armistice with the Allies. Chaos followed. Italian troops were left leaderless. German forces quickly launched Operation Axis, aiming to disarm their former allies and take control of Italian territory and equipment. The Italian fleet, Roma included, was ordered to sail from La Spezia to Malta, where they would surrender to the Allies. But they never made it. On September 9, as the fleet passed near Sardinia, they were intercepted, not by ships, but by something new. Something deadly. The morning of September 9, 1943 began like any other for the Italian fleet. Sailors on the battleship Roma took up their duties, unaware that within hours, their ship would be lost forever. After the announcement of Italy's armistice with the Allies the night before, Roma, along with her sister ships Vittorio Veneto and Italia, had been ordered to sail to Malta and surrender to Allied forces. But their voyage would not go unchallenged. The Germans, enraged by what they saw as betrayal, quickly enacted Operation Axis, a full-scale plan to disarm the Italian military. Their fear was that the Italian fleet, the fourth largest in the world, might fall into Allied hands. The Germans acted fast, and for Roma, it was already too late. Just after midday, the Italian fleet, sailing west of Sardinia, was spotted by German reconnaissance aircraft. Then came a new and terrifying weapon, something the Italian sailors had never encountered before. From high above, a group of Dornier Do-217 bombers appeared. But these weren't carrying ordinary bombs. They carried the Fritz X, a revolutionary, radio-controlled glide bomb. It was the world's first precision-guided weapon, and Roma would be its most famous victim. As the bombers approached, the Italian ships opened fire with their anti-aircraft guns, but they were not prepared for this new kind of warfare. The Fritz X allowed German bombers to release their payloads from high altitudes and steer them remotely onto their targets. Traditional evasive maneuvers were no defense. The first Fritz X struck Roma near the starboard side, between the forward and center gun turrets. It tore through the ship's armor and detonated in the forward engine room, disabling propulsion and knocking out her electrical systems. Moments later, a second Fritz X bomb struck near the ammunition magazines of turret number 2. What followed was catastrophic. A massive explosion ripped through the heart of the ship. Turret 2 was hurled skyward like a toy. The entire forward section of Roma was engulfed in smoke and fire. The bridge was obliterated. Among the dead was Vice Admiral Carlo Bergamini, commander of the fleet, who had been aboard Roma during the voyage. Within moments, the once proud battleship was dying. As flames engulfed the vessel and water rushed in below, Roma began to list heavily to starboard. The crew, now in chaos, attempted to abandon ship. But there was little time. At 1612, the Italian battleship Roma broke in two and sank beneath the Mediterranean waves, taking with her 1,393 men, including officers, sailors, and cadets. Fewer than 600 survived. She had never fired her main guns in combat. The sinking of Roma marked a turning point, not just for the Italian Navy, but for naval warfare itself. Her destruction by guided bombs shocked the world and signaled a new era where air power and technology could neutralize even the most powerful warships. Battleships, once the pride of any fleet, were no longer invincible. In the aftermath, the surviving ships of the Italian fleet continued on to Malta and surrendered peacefully. But the scars left by Roma's destruction ran deep. For many Italians, she became a symbol of pride, of loss, and of the tragic end of an era. For decades, Roma remained lost beneath the sea, a forgotten grave. But in 2012, her wreck was finally discovered by Italian researchers, lying nearly 1,000 meters deep in the Tyrrhenian Sea, her broken hull a silent monument to her crew. Today, she is remembered with honor. In ports across Italy, monuments and memorials carry her name. And in the story of battleships, those iron giants of a bygone age, Roma stands as one of the last built, and one of the first to fall to the weapons of the future, a powerful warship. A tragic end. A legacy that echoes beneath the waves. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. You can also subscribe and explore our channel for previous battleship videos. Bye for now and Godspeed.